CIT 1121, Packet Tracer Instructional Video 255. In this video, we're going to go through all the steps of setting up a switch and putting some basic commands into the switch. These are the commands you're going to be tested on throughout this course and just get you used to using the iOS. There's some host names, passwords, banners, saving your files. That's pretty much all you're going to need to do in this particular lab. It's a good starting point for getting to know the iOS. So let's go ahead and get into it. I'm going to start here with entering privileged exec mode. I'm going to add a lot of commentary into this. I know it's not a hard lab, and anybody can just kind of walk through this one and score the points. You should be able to score the points if you can type correctly. I'm going to try and add a little bit to it just to make sure that if there's any pitfalls or anything that, just things I want to talk about really more than anything else. So let's go ahead and get into it. Part 1, step 1, enter into privileged exec mode. I'm in my switch right now. Just go ahead and click on the switch. Within Packet Tracer, if I just click on a switch, there's only one tab for CLI, and here it is. And I'm in user mode right now, right? So by default, I'm in user mode. I'm just going to go ahead and type in EN, and that'll get me into privileged mode. So EN is just a shortening of enable. It is the only command at user mode that starts with the letters EN, so I can shorten it down to just that. The next thing it's going to ask me to do is do a show run. I'm just going to look at the running config. The running config is the configuration that the switch operates off of. If it's in the memory, it's going to do what it says. So if we change a password like we're going to do later, as soon as we change that password, it'll go ahead and update that password for us. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at the running config. So it's show running config. Once again, I don't want to type all the letters, so I'm just going to type in show run. And it's going to show me a little bit about this device. Lets me know the iOS version, if there's any services running. The host name is switch right now. It lets me know my spanning tree, more on that in 1123. And then it shows me if my interfaces are configured, which we're not going to do until 1122. So keep that in mind and go through all my interfaces. And then some things that are pertinent for this particular course is if we ever want to configure this switch remotely, by default, there is an interface called VLAN 1, and we can put an IP address on it, and we can telnet or SSH to the switch from VLAN 1. And we'll do that not in this lab, but in a future lab pretty soon. The other things I can do is I can set passwords up on the switch. In this case, I have a console password where it says here line con 0. That's where I can set a password for the getting access just to the console. Just getting to user mode is now going to require a password if I put a password there. And if I want to access the device remotely, I can set a password for these VTY lines, these virtual terminal lines. Okay? So that's most of what you wanted to see as far as the running config goes. Let's get down into the step 1 here where we're going to set the host name. So we're at switch. And we're going to do a config T, and we're going to type in host name S1, and now the host name is S1. Great. Okay, so once again, the accent is in as what's in memory. So I make the change, and the change happens. Now the next thing we're going to do is step 2. We're going to put a password on the console. Putting a password on the console is easy. We're just going to effectively go to that line and then add the password and the keyword login to prompt for the password. So we're going to say, well, before we do that, let's do this. Let's do an exit here. And now we're at privileged mode. And let's do an exit again. And now we're out. Okay, we're out of the switch. So if I hit enter here, it takes me right to the user mode prompt. If I put a password in this now, it's going to prompt me before I can even get to user mode. So now we're going to go to privileged mode, and we're going to put a privileged mode password in just a second. But before we do that, let's go ahead and set the console password. So line con config, we're going to go line con 0, line config, console 0. That just dictates where it is, which interface we're going to place this on. This is a physical interface on the device. The reason that it's 0 is because Cisco uses 0 as the first number for any range. It's one of those binary things. It's kind of a quirky thing they did, and it just kind of stuck around for as long as they've been a business, for 30 something years. So line con 0, and then password is let me in. So we'll put the password as let me in, and we'll use the keyword login. That'll prompt for the password, and we're ready to go. So we're going to exit, and then we're going to exit again, and then we're at privilege. Let's exit one more time just for fun, and we're out. Now remember, last time I hit enter when I was all the way out, it just took me right to user mode. This time, I need a password. This is my console password, so let me in. And I'm in. Now, there's no password protecting privileged mode from user mode, so guess what we're going to do next? As we scroll down to step 4, we're going to set a privileged mode password, which is going to be C1C0. So let's do that. So first things first, we're already in privileged. Let's do global config, so config T. And we're going to go ahead and set that password for privileged mode. So enable password, and then the password, C1 $C0, C1 $C0, and that password is now set. So C1 $, I think that's what that says, C0, and we're in good shape here. So we do an exit from here, and we're at privileged. Let's exit again, and now we're all the way out. Let's get back into user mode, which was let me in, and then from user to privileged, EN, and then C1 $C0, and we did it. Okay, cool. And we're back in. Great. Password is set. Now here's the thing. When we do a show run on these devices, the passwords are going to come up in what's called clear text. So let's do a show run. And look at this right here. So if someone has access to an open console, they could do a show run and they could see all your passwords. So there's our enable password. And down here at the bottom, here's our console password. Oh boy. So they're right there in clear text. And with these, in this day and age with cell phones or smartphones, camera phones, you can just take a picture of these. You got their passwords. That's fantastic, right? And this one is used for remote access. So that one would be in clear text also. So we're going to go ahead and solve that clear text password issue right now. And we're going to start by protecting privileged mode again. So we just set a password on privileged mode. And now we're going to set another password on privileged mode that actually trumps the old password. So we've set the enable password, which comes up in clear text. But if we set an enable secret, the enable secret will then be the new password, and the enable password won't do anything. So let's go ahead and try that. So config T from here, and enable, and the command is secret this time. This means it's an encrypted password, so it's enable secret password, and it's secret. Did I spell that right? Yeah. And I did. Cool. All right. So let's get out again and let's go back in. Let's see what happens. So exit, and we're privileged, and then exit again, and now we're all the way out, and then we go to let me in, and from user to privilege should now be it's a secret. It's a secret. And it's done. And I've set that password. So that's fixed. All right, so the enable secret is now set. Now let's do a show run, and let's see the difference. The enable secret is hashed out in the showing of the running config, and enable password is not, right? So enable password is not hidden, and console password is also not hidden. So now we need to fix those things. So as we move down through this really long lab, we get to step 8, which is here, and they're like, why don't we encrypt those passwords when you do a show run? Oh, okay. So that command is called service password encryption. So we're going to do that from global config also. So we'll go config T, and we'll do service password encryption. So what I just did there is I just typed in SER, I hit tab, space, PAS tab, and it'll type in the rest of it. So tab's a good friend of yours. Well, it's a good friend of mine. It can be your good friend if you decide to start using it. So once I put service password encryption in, those passwords that were not encrypted before in the show run output will be encrypted. So I do that. Now I'm going to run a show command from global config. Now if I just typed in show run here, this is going to fail. It's going to say, whoa, there's no show commands from config mode. Okay, you're right. So I can do two things. I can type in exit and then come back to it later, or since I'm here, I can actually use the do command. And this is not in the lab. I just want to show it to you because it's super helpful. I can use do, and I can type in do show run from global config, and it'll leave me at config mode and show me the show command anyway. Do show run. And I can see it. And look at this. When I get down here, hey, this console password is now encrypted, right? And up at the top, look at our enable password. It's encrypted too. Okay, cool, good stuff. All right, so that piece is done. That gets us into part 3, which is configuring the message of the day banners. So the MOTD banner, banners are kind of antiquated, but we still have them, and they're still part of the class. And, one of the things they want you to know about the banners is that a banner was initially created because there was no rules and you needed to tell people to not log into your systems. So there was a lot of talk of, well, hackers can just log in. No one said I couldn't, so I didn't know. I was expressly not supposed to. So a banner is going to expressly let someone know that's consoling in or telnetting into a device, they're not supposed to use it. And that's where we are with this. So we're going to set this banner. Banners are unique in the way that the first character and the last character have to be the same, and neither one of those characters can appear in the message itself. So essentially, when you type in banner MOTD, the next thing you type in this case, it's parentheses. The next time you type parentheses, the message is over. So the first thing you type is the first character it's looking for. It's called a delimiting character. We used to set it with pound signs all the time because nobody used those, but now everyone uses those. So now we're going to use parentheses in this lab. So let's go ahead and do that. So I've said so like 7,000 times. Banner MOTD parentheses. This is a secure system. Authorized user access or authorized access only. Parentheses ends the note, and we're done. We're good. Cool. And let's go take a look at it. So let's do an exit here, and let's do another exit. And hey, look at that. This is a secure system, authorized access only. We just set our banner. We now do our console password, let me in. And then from here, we do our enable secret, which I forgot. Let's scroll back up. Oh, it's a secret. That's right. So it's a secret. And we're back into privilege mode. All right, we're making some hay here. Pretty much almost done with the lab. Last couple of things here. Copy the running config to the startup config. We've made some changes. We've made some significant changes to this device. Let's go ahead and save them so that if the power gets turned off, it gets turned back on, it'll have the changes. At this point, if we were to restart this switch, everything we've done is gone. So we're going to do copy, run, start is the quickest way to get from point A to point B. It's copy running config startup config. That's a lot to type. So copy run start. Where do I want to save it? In the startup config. Fantastic. And that switch is now saved. Now, to score the rest of your points, you're going to have to do the exact same thing you did before, but you're going to do it on switch 2. So let's head over to switch 2 and let's knock out part 5 and score the rest of the points. Okay. Device name, S2. So that's host name, S2. Protect access to the console with let me in password. Okay, line con 0. Password, let me in. Keyword login. Great. Configure an enable password and an enable secret of Cisco, and it's a secret. Do a quick exit from here, enable password C1 $C0, and enable secret. It's a secret. Good stuff. Configure an appropriate message for those logging into the switch. Do the same one that we just did. So banner, MOTD. Authorized access only. Encrypt all the plain text passwords. Remember that? That was service password encryption. Ensure that the configuration is correct. I think it is. And save the config. And we're there, and it's done. And we're at 100%. So I'll see you in the next video.